2, 1.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Ajax Committee of Adjustments meetings for this Wednesday, August the 27th, 2025. This meeting of the Committee of Adjustments is being held in person in Council Chambers at Ajax Town Hall, while also being live streamed for the public viewing on the internet pursuant to our Committee of Adjustment terms of reference and meeting procedures. If we encounter any technical difficulties this evening, we may take a brief recess while they're resolved. Thank you for your patience, and we'll now proceed to the meeting. For those of us joining us in person this evening, if you haven't done so already, if you do end up speaking to the committee about an application, I'll ask that you come to the podium that I'm pointing at on my left, and there's a sign-in sheet there, and if you could just record your name and your information, including your email. I'll now like to call this meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas, more specifically the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, signatories of the Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the William Treaties of 1923. This land is and will continue to be home to the Indigenous people. Let us acknowledge the mistakes and traumas of the past through authenticity and support truth and reconciliation. Let us engage and celebrate Indigenous communities by being leaders of action and acknowledging the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Before moving on to the application portion of this meeting, I'd like to confirm whether there are any disclosures of interest from the members of the committee against the agenda today. Okay, seeing none, then I'll look to see if we can get a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from previous meeting. Ken, I saw you first. Seconded by Amanda. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, look for a vote. And the meeting minutes from previous meeting have now been adopted as the motion has been carried. Thank you. The Committee of Adjustment derives its jurisdiction and authority from the Planning Act. The committee is responsible for considering applications which seek to authorize the following: minor variances from the provisions of the town zoning bylaw, extensions, enlargements, or variations of the legal non-conforming use of any land, building, or structure, permitting the use of any land, building, or structure for any purpose that, in the opinion of the committee, conforms with the provisions of the zoning bylaw, where the uses permitted in the zoning bylaw are defined or in general terms only. Consent to sever a new lot from an existing lot, consent to alter the existing boundaries of a lot, such as lot additions and lot line adjustments, consent to register rights of way and easements over land, consent to sell, mortgage, charge, or enter into any agreement for more than 21 years for a portion of land, and validation of land title when there has been an error in the description of the land. When considering minor variances, the committee is to assess whether the general intent and purpose of both the Town of Ajax official plan and zoning bylaw is being maintained, the proposal is desirable for the appropriate development and or use of the subject land, building, or structure, and that the variance is minor in nature. When considering consents, the committee must ensure proposals conform to the Region of Durham and the Town of Ajax official plans and have regard to the matters outlined under the Planning Act. In all scenarios, the committee must ensure consistency with the in effect provincial policy statements and conformity with the in effect provincial plans. The process for tonight's meeting will be conducted in the following manner. The applicant and or agent will be called upon and will be asked to provide a brief description of the minor variance and or consent application that they have applied for. The committee members may ask questions of the applicant either during or after that presentation, and after which anyone with a direct interest in the application will also be given the opportunity to speak either for or against the application. Once a motion is put forward by a committee member, however, there will be no further input from the applicant and/or agent or anyone else having interest in the application. After a decision is made based on the voting by the committee, a notice will be sent out and there will be a 20-day appeal period. The decision of the committee may be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal, or the OLT, by the applicant or a specified person or public body as outlined in the Planning Act. Please note that third-party appeals are not permitted. The decision will become final and binding if no appeals are received during that 20-day appeal period. If a building permit or other approvals are required for your project, they may be filed during the appeal period. However, please note that no permits will be issued until the appeal period is over and the decision tonight becomes final and binding. A respectful decorum during this evening's proceedings is expected of all present at all times. Let me now take a moment to introduce you to the committee members presiding over the procedures this evening. Starting from my furthest right is Mr. Ken Elliott. Then I've got Amanda Dunn, followed by Tomas Baca to my right. I'm the chair of the committee, Wasif Ahmed, and to my left is town AV staff. And I've got Eric Simpson, who's the Supervisor of Development and Committee of Adjustment Treasurer, and Henry Singh, who's also with the town of Ajax. We'll now move to the application portion of tonight's meeting, and for those of you here in attendance, you'll see that on the screen over my shoulder, and for those of you that are joining us virtually, you'll see it on your screen. The first application for tonight's meeting is application LD 1125 submitted by Humphreys Planning Group for Unit 3, 73 Cedar Street. And do I have an applicant here online for this? We do, okay. And just before I go over to the applicant, staff, if you can confirm whether notice was served for this application and whether any responses were received.
Mr. Chair, notice was served and no responses were received.
Okay. And for the interest of everybody else, this application is seeking to consent to sever and establish an access easement to accommodate the proposed development of a portion of the lands municipally known as 3-73 Cedar Street. And a breakdown of the requested consents is to sever an approximate 0.31 hectare residential parcel of land from the subject lands, retaining an approximate 1.45 hectare residential parcel of land, and secondly, establishing an access easement over the proposed severed parcel in favor of the proposed retained parcel to provide continued access for pedestrian and vehicular traffic. Jonathan, are you the representative on this application?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Jonathan Sasso. I am the agent acting on behalf of the owners of the property.
Okay, perfect. Good evening to you. Could you perhaps just tell us a little bit about the project? And before you do, I do want to let you know, I would assume you've already received what you see on the screen, which is a staff report that was put together by the planning department at Ajax, town of Ajax, and submitted to the committee here with us. And it does recommend approval based on some conditions that are in the report. Have you received a copy of this in writing?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have received a copy of the staff report. We have also reviewed the report to the committee, and we also agree with staff's recommendation to approve the application subject to the recommended conditions. I would also like to highlight two members of the committee that we were before the same committee in February of 2022 with a similar application in which the committee resolved to approve the consent and associated easements. However, that approval ultimately lapsed as we and the applicant were resolving some minor issues related to an associated site plan application, which has somewhat changed, resulting in new easement delineation.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Could you tell us maybe a little bit about this particular project now and this minor variance application?
Yep. So the consent application seeks to first and primarily sever a piece of land from a larger holding. As you can see, I think it's the next figure. Yep. You'll see that there's the retained parcel and is an existing rental housing project. And the severed parcel represents vacant lands, which are currently in the planning approvals process for associated site plan application to establish 23-story back-to-back townhouse dwellings on a private condominium lane. In 2021, applications were approved for an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment, which sought to approve the development you see before you on your screen. Those were ultimately approved by the Council of the Town of Ajax. We are currently working with staff in the final parts of a site plan application process. Based on our last discussions with staff, we have clearance from all of the commenting department and agencies, and the plan that you see before you on your screen is the plan that will be moving forward to an official site plan approval. So now we are confident with the delineation of the road, the delineation of the severance lines, as well as the delineation of the associated easements for vehicular and pedestrian access. That would be reciprocal to both the retained parcel as well as the severed parcel and future development lands.
Okay, that sounds good. And just my apologies, I think I called this a minor variance application, but this is a consent application for the record. Thank you, Mr. Sasso. I'll open it up to my fellow committee members to see if there's any questions about the application, the report, or any of the conditions. Okay, then I'll look for or ask staff whether there's anybody here to either speak for or against this application. Again, we're on consent application LD 11-25 for 373 Cedar Street. Okay, seeing none, then I'll look for a motion on the on this application. Amanda?
I move that, having read the staff report, consent application LD 1125 be approved, subject to the conditions contained within the staff report, as the proposal complies with Section 5124 of the Planning Act and all applicable policies and plans affecting the subject lands.
Okay, noted. Can I get a seconder? Tomas? And any discussion on the motion as presented? Okay, seeing none, then I'll look for a vote. Okay, Mr. Sasso, the vote has been carried unanimously in favor of the application, so it'll now be subject to the 20-day appeal period that we talked about at the beginning.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members of the committee, for your time this evening.
All right, you have yourself a good evening. Thank you.
You as well, sir.
All right, we will now move to our second item on the application portion, and that will be for minor variance application A2425 for 15 Fitzgerald Drive. This application is seeking to permit a maximum aggregate area of 42 square meters for all platforms more than 1.2 meters in height above finished ground level, to permit existing platforms less than or equal to 0.6 meters in height above finished ground level to have a minimum setback of 0.0 meters from the east interior side lot line, and to permit existing uncovered steps leading to a platform in the required east interior side yard to encroach up to 0.2 meters from the east interior side lot line. Eric, if you can confirm whether notice was served and any responses were received?
Notice was served and no responses were received.
Okay, thank you, appreciate that. And do we have either the applicant or an agent here to speak to this application for 15 Fitzgerald?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and the name on the screen shows up as Shannon White, sir. Is that correct?
I'm here as well.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect. And you are the applicant or an agent?
We are the applicants.
Okay, perfect. So I'm assuming you can see the screen right now, and what I see here in the room as well is a report that put together by town staff that does recommend to the Committee of Approval, Committee of Adjustments to approve this particular application subject to 3 conditions. And I wanted to know whether you've received a copy of that report, and have you read through it, and how do you bode with the conditions that have been outlined, the 2 conditions?
Yep. Yeah, we're okay with everything that has been sent out.
Okay, perfect. Well, then I will hand it over to you to perhaps tell us a little bit about the project.
We're actually just looking to rebuild the deck that's in place right now. Just want to actually square off the deck instead of having the angular motions to it, so it increased the square footage of it by a little bit. And it was over the maximum square footage that was allowed, so.
Okay. And part of this is current state, and then part of it is an extension, correct?
Yes,
No, we're not extending it.
Okay.
not
So
extending, just squaring off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
right. So if you see the picture that's on the screen right now,
Yep.
you've got your current deck that's highlighted, and there's the widening, right, with the grid, if you will.
Correct.
To your point, squaring that off. Okay. Okay. I will look to see if the committee has any questions about the application as it stands.
Thank you.
Ken?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I presume that the revision to the deck has not proceeded, that the picture that we see on slide figure 4 is the existing condition as it is now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none from committee. Is there anybody here to speak either for or against this application? Again, we're on application A2425 for 15 Fitzgerald Drive. Anybody here in person? Seeing none. Anybody online? No? Okay. All right. So I will then look for a motion from committee based on the application as presented. Tomas?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve application A24-25, subject to all staff conditions on the basis that it is minor in nature, desirable for the appropriate development and use of the property, and in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
Okay. Motion noted. Seconded by Ken. Any discussion on the motion as presented? Okay. Seeing none, then I'll look for a vote. And the motion has been carried. It will now be subject to the 20-day appeal period that I talked about earlier. And but you are able to, excuse me, continue to apply for your paperwork as required.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. Have yourselves a good evening.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Right, moving along, pardon me, we'll go to minor variance application A2525. This is for 320 Taunton Road West, and the application is seeking to permit a maximum aggregate ground floor area of 256 square meters for all accessory buildings and structures, and to also permit a maximum accessory building height of 5.9 meters. Is the applicant or agent here for this? Okay, I see somebody walking up. And just while you're doing that, sir, if I can confirm with staff whether notice was served on this application and whether any responses were received?
Notice was served and no responses were received.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
Through you, Chair, I am Gursvik Singh of King Consultants. I'm here to represent my client of 320 Taunton Road West. They're present with me today in the council chambers, Mr. Mohanbir. This application is fairly straightforward. It is to construct a one-story accessory building, a storage shed, with a ground floor area of 171.8 meter squares in the rear yard of the subject property. The owner is required to obtain a building permit, which was noted in the staff's recommendations. They have prepared a couple of plans. They're waiting for this decision to then submit that building permit. The property itself is located in a very rural context. The design of this accessory building meets with the character of the rural area. In essence, there was quite a bit of conversation between Henry and the owners as well to how to position the building. Generally keep it out of the TRCA regulated areas as well as the Greenbelt Natural Heritage System areas. The second part of the variance is related to the height of the building. The main purpose of the height and size is to assist the owner in storing some of their construction equipment. That equipment is used for property standards, so, you know, cutting the grass. It's fairly large parcel, removing snow, and just maintaining the premises. They needed some type of clearance as well to get the tractors inside the building, but also to remove some of the other accessory type of, I guess, storage that's already on site. In essence, with the staff report, we agree with all the conditions for the approval. And I think if there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Singh. I'll look to committee, see if there's any questions. Amanda?
Through the chair, this question I think is more for staff. I noted in the staff report a comment that if the structure is to be removed, TRCA may have, they may need to get further clearance from TRCA. I was just wondering why that was included. Has there been any discussion that the location of the accessory structure may have to be relocated? Let me reference the,
Through the chair to Member Dunn, town staff did reach out to the TRCA, and I believe it's the last page of that specific staff report. The accessory structure is located quite close to the EP designated lands and the TRCA regulation limit. So it's just a case of TRCA comments basically indicated that additional clearance could be required if the proposal's location or the nature of the work changed.
okay.
And staff wanted to just capture that in the staff report.
Okay, but I just want to confirm, if the location of the accessory structure is relocated, as per the condition within the report, I think it's condition 1, that if the location changes, the drawings would then be revised. So they wouldn't meet that condition, right? They would kind of have to go through the process again. TRCA would receive the revised proposal. I just want to confirm that, because I was thinking either that, or we include a condition that identifies they meet external agency conditions.
Through the chair, the TRCA comment's not about relocating, like removing existing structures. The comment was if they come forward with a proposal that's different than what we saw, then they may have comments. But that's not what we're considering today. So I'm not sure what the concern is.
Should the proposed accessory building be, I'm reading from the report, should the proposed accessory building be relocated to another portion of the subject property or any additional development activity be proposed, TRC clearance may be required, depending on the extent of the changes. So if they relocate the proposed, right, structure, that would revise the drawings that we have in front of us. So they therefore wouldn't meet condition 1?
No, I mean, when we say substantially in accordance, we mean more so the general footprint of it, the height of it, and in this case, the height is one of the variances. If they have to move it on the property and there's no zoning issues, then no, it would be fine. They'd still meet the intent of that condition.
So TRCA would become aware of the relocation through the building permit review?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members? Okay, seeing none, then I'll look to see whether there's anybody here to speak either for or against this application, either in person or virtually. Okay, nobody in virtual, nobody standing up. Okay, then I'll look for a motion from committee members. Ken?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve minor variance application A 2525 as the requested variances are minor in nature, desirable for the appropriate development and use of the property, and in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw.
Okay.
Subject to the conditions as outlined in the staff report. Thank you.
Okay, motion noted. Can I get a seconder? Amanda? Any discussion on the motion as presented? Okay, seeing none, then I'll look for a vote. Okay, so the vote has been carried unanimously. It'll now be subject to the 20-day appeal period that we talked about at the beginning. And that's about it for this application.
All right, sounds good. Have a good evening, Chair, committee members, staff. Thank you so much.
All right, you as well. Thank you for being here. All right, we'll now move to our last application for this evening. This is application A2625 for 171 Angus Drive. And the application is seeking to permit a group home A in the residential 2A zone on the subject property at 171 Angus Drive, and a total minimum parking requirement of 3 parking spaces for a detached dwelling with a group home A on the subject property. Is the applicant or agent here to speak for this?
I'm here.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chair and Council. My name is Dan Dixon. I'm the co-owner of Core Homes Durham, and we're looking to have a variance made with regards to zoning for the home and for parking.
Okay, and I believe, just before I hand the mic back over to you, Mr. Dixon, just to confirm with town staff, a notice was posted and whether any responses were received?
Correct. Notice was served and there are no responses received.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry, I just had to make sure I take care of that administrative detail, Mr. Dixon. So the application itself, could you maybe tell us a little bit about it? You do know that, I think you see it on the screen as well, that the town committee has a report from the planning department that does recommend rather approval, subject to the condition only applying to 171 Angus and nowhere else. Have you received this report, and have you read through it, and do you have any concerns?
I've received it and no concerns.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about what you're seeking to do here?
So in 2017, the home was rented by the previous company that we purchased in January of 2025 and operated as a foster home. In 2021, the previous company, Collaborative Community Connections, transitioned it into a group home for 3 adults. We took over in 2025, and upon sort of the initial inspection by our funders, we found out that we weren't in compliance, that it's not zoned for a group home. So we're looking to have it zoned. We've got 3 adults that live there long-term with mental health and intellectual disabilities. And being that their needs are fairly high, they can't live on their own. They have no familial support. So to have to go back to 2 beds or a 2-bed residence, one would have to be displaced and would be at risk to be harmed or exploited or homeless. So we have no intention of going beyond 3 residents to live there. We're not looking to expand it. We just like to keep it the way it has been since 2021 with 3 clients.
Okay. And I hate to ask this question, and I can appreciate it's going to sound somewhat morbid, but if something was to happen to one of, while they were living there, to one of the current folks, one of the 3 individuals that you pointed out, would you then be looking to replace that, or would that then go from 3 to 2?
Honestly, I've never thought of that because I see these people living there for the majority of their lives unless something does happen. And then at that point, we would probably maybe put a 3rd person in if that made sense and we were allowed to. If we're not, then we'd stay at 2.
Okay, fair enough. Let me see if the rest of the committee members have any other questions. Ken?
Through you, Mr. Chair. In order to accommodate the 3 parking spaces, is there additional construction required, or is it currently sufficient?
Not that I'm aware. That might be a question for Eric, because I did the measurements and we're looking for there would be no more than 3 vehicles in the driveway, and there is room for it, technically.
Yeah, through the chair. They can currently fit 3 vehicles. In order to fit the legal parking space size for 3 vehicles, they would have to widen the driveway slightly on the private portion, which they're able to do. But they can physically fit 3 vehicles currently.
Okay. Any other questions from committee members? Okay. Just before I look for a motion, Mr. Dixon, to the folks that are operating this, this is very noble work, And, you know, I, for one, can appreciate the kind of support that these folks may need, and glad that there's somebody out there that's offering it to them. That said, I'll look for a motion.
Thank you.
Amanda?
Through the chair, having reviewed the staff report, I move that application A2625 be approved in accordance with the conditions contained within the staff report, as the proposal is considered minor in nature, desirable for the appropriate development of the land and use, and in keeping with the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw and official plan.
Okay, motion noted. Can I get a seconder? Tomas? Any discussion on the motion as presented? Okay, seeing none, then I'll look for a vote. Okay, Mr. Dixon, the vote has been carried unanimously. It'll now be subject to the 20-day appeal period. I think you'll receive correspondence once that is up.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right, have yourselves a good evening.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Take care. All right, that brings us to the end of our formal agenda this evening. I'll now look to see whether there's any other business or new business from committee members. Town staff? Okay, seeing none, then I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Ken?
I move we adjourn.
Okay. Seconded by Tomas. Can I get a vote on that, please? And the vote has been carried again unanimously, and I'd like to now adjourn this meeting at 7:36 p.m. Thank you.